Hello, good morning. How are you all doing today? Sound looks good. And we have camera and background, so that's good. Hello, Blind Spot, and hello, Isitsu. How are you both doing today? I just found out that I think my cat peed in the bathroom down here, which we don't have a litter box in, so that's great. I left had a bag, like a plastic bag with a bunch of stuff in it. I think he confused that for a litter box, which has happened in the past. It's been a long time though, so that's a little bit unfortunate. So right after stream, I have some cleaning up to do, which is gonna be fun. Luckily, it's all tile and everything else, so it's much easier than if it was carpet. Let's see, and other things. I have somebody who was saying that they couldn't get Cargo Watch running on their Windows system. And so we found out that it was Windows 10 that they're having an error on. That sounds like a pre-stream drum. I literally discovered it like after I pressed the go live button. And then I walked off to like, what is Zilby meowing about? And it's like, oh no. Okay. Okay. Yeah. Now it's a post-stream job. Yeah. So anyways, um, Windows stuff. So I have, let's see over here. Where do I want to put this? Let's make this maybe this size. All right. So we had a viewer say that they're unable to install and run Cargo Watch on their system. So we're going to just try it out and see if we can replicate the problem. See if there is a system. I do have a Windows system that I use as the streaming computer. So if I switch over to this, that main display. Oh wait, no, okay. I just okay. That took. Wait, what? Oh, weird. I opened the properties for it. This opens up, and as soon as I click OK, it's like done. Why is that? Automatic? Okay. All right. Now we're staying up. Okay, so here you are in Windows. I'm using PowerShell because they didn't say specifically it was in WSL or anything like that. So I'm assuming that this is Windows 10 PowerShell that we're having a problem with. And the issue was installing Cargo Watch, which I believe that I have already. Do I have that installed in here? So if I do like Cargo Watch help, I do have that. Okay. So let me see. How do you uninstall that? It's Cargo uninstall? Cargo Watch? Yeah, okay, so that removes that. I want to now do, well, let's update, just update. Let's get the latest version of Rust because I don't know, how long has it been since I've used this system for development? I probably should have looked to see what version of Rust I had on here. Custard, hello. How are you doing today? Oh, and I have Nightly on here too. Uh, the biggest the biggest reason that I don't necessarily like to install Nightly is because then every time I run update, there's always something to update. And like to me, because I use Nightly so infrequently, I probably should just drop Nightly, but I never do. Twisted Seed, hello. How are you doing today? The just update stable. I mean, I probably could if I remember to, but I always run rust up update, and then I remember, oh, I probably should have done the other thing, and then I feel too lazy to like control C, so I just stare at it and complain. I mean, that's just as good as doing it, right? I mean, it's a fun thing when we complain about something. We like it's almost like we're telling our brains we don't have to actually change the thing because we get the what is it dopamine hit? We get some kind of like hit for doing something about the problem if we complain about it, which means ironically by complaining about it we have a lower chance of actually doing something about it and actually removing the problem, which is kind of funny. All right, so I have this. So now if I do a cargo install cargo watch, and let's see if this works. And if it does, it's not just Windows that it's having trouble with. It's going to be something more. Oh, nope, there it is. Okay. So it was on globset. Expected win API C void found. Okay, so it expected win API C type C void. It found libc C void. Libc C void is defined in crate core. Win API is found in crate win API. Okay. Huh, that seems not great. All right. Out of curiosity, let's switch over to our Mac again. I'm curious if we go to let's go to the repo for Cargo Watch and see if we can find any complaints about this and issues. So first off, just looking through the first page, I'm not something on Docker though. That's not the same thing. Okay, how about Windows? Oh, issue 304. Okay, so it does exist. Oh, interesting. That's not okay. So it's not found by Windows. .304. Are these not in? Oh, it's closed because 303 is there. Okay, so if it's closed like that, yeah, cargo install failed on Windows 11. Yep, and there's that C void. Try with dash dash locked or use a binary release. Okay, and the dash dash locked works fine. So let's jump back and try that. What does dash dash locked do? I've seen that a few different times, but I'm not really sure what exactly it's doing behind the scenes. But unhelpfully closed, yeah, that's a little bit unfortunate. I wonder if they're well, we can read a little bit more of the items to see whether or not they're going to actually like fix it or if it's just a like a version. Anyways, did I finish saying hello to you, Custard? If I didn't, sorry about that. And hello. How are you doing today? Use the version specified in Oh, the lock vial. Interesting. Okay, that's good to know. Demolroy, hello. Thank you so much for the raid. Welcome, 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 everybody. How's your stream today? What are you working on? Yes. Okay, and that did indeed successfully install it. So that is good to know. And I will keep this window up over here so that way after the stream I'll respond to that YouTube comment with the location of at least this this page, and we can go with that. You're building a Twitch Spotify integration with Effect TS. Oh, interesting. Nice. How's that been going? Also, Raiders, welcome. Awesome to have you here. We are going to be working on some game dev today, although we started off with working on, or at least trying to replicate a problem that one of my viewers had in a follow along tutorial video that I posted a while back where they were trying to install Cargo Watch on their Windows system. And that was just failing for some reason. And we were able to replicate that. And apparently we need to use dash dash locked, which what we just learned uses, it basically uses the versions that are in the lock file, which I would have assumed was how install would have worked anyways, right? Like, isn't that the purpose of the lock file? But maybe I'm misunderstanding or misknowing what that really means. Effect TS makes TypeScript enjoyable again. Oh, interesting. So I've used TypeScript a bunch. What specifically about Effect TS makes it that much better? Because like I've used TypeScript, I enjoy Rust more than TypeScript, but I don't really like move away from like I'm fine with TypeScript. I guess like it's the again part. It was like, okay, it's just a tool, so like whatever, I use it. Effect brings aspects of Rust to TS. Oh, aspects of Rust. Okay, I am going to add this to my to-do list. Check out Effect. Okay, so it is two T's in a row, right? So Effect TS. And so the note is brings aspects of Rust to TS. Cool. I will check that out someday. I have a lot of things in my backlog. Result option types, proper enums, scoped resource management, amazing concurrency. Yeah, so I think that the only thing I've really run into a lot is the enum types. Like the enum types are so bad. I have missed result option types, but also like I started with JavaScript. Well, I shouldn't say like I started. I programmed in Bash a lot before that, but like my professional programming career started with JavaScript, and because of that, I'm just so used to other languages not having results and option types that it's like, okay, I have all the nice tools when I'm in Rust, and I have other tools when I'm other, and like sometimes just no tools at all. And so I just got used to that. Not sure the reasoning why it isn't the default, but the idea is that it allows patch fixes without the maintainer updating the crate. Clearly, in this case, a minor patch had a breaking change. Yeah. Oh, so it's interesting. Okay, so that's the reason why Trunk suggests you always use dash dash locked, just to prevent anything like this from happening. Okay. Let's actually find cargo. Can we find something about locked in here? Okay, the cargo book. This is it, dealing with a locked file. So you're right. It does have something about it does. Yeah, I think you're exactly right. I think you'll appreciate what Effect brings to the table. It has a learning curve, but well worth it if you love Rust or other functional programming like languages. Ooh, nice. Okay, well, yeah, it's definitely on the list now. So I'll add that in there and we'll take a look at it. All right, well, before we get to game dev, we're going to read this out. So, dealing with the lock file. By default, the cargo lock file that is included with the package will be ignored. This means that Cargo will recompute which versions of dependencies to use, possibly using newer versions that have been released since the package was published. The -- locked flag can be used to force Cargo to use the packaged cargo.lock file if it is available. This may be useful for ensuring reproducible builds to use the exact same set of dependencies that were available when the package was published. It may also be useful if a newer version of a dependency is published that no longer builds in your system or has other problems. The downside to using -- locked is that you will not receive any fixes or updates to any dependency. Note that Cargo did not start publishing cargo.lock files until version 1.37, which means packages published with prior versions will not have a cargo.lock file available. Okay, so I think this is the reason why, right now at least, we need to use -- locked with the Cargo watch on Windows at the very least. And probably should just start using it anytime you do a Cargo install. Note that wouldn't be like a Cargo run, although if you're running this in production, right? Like if you're compiling this on like for CI/CD or something, probably using a -- locked would be really nice there too, because you're guaranteeing that it's the same dependencies that you're used to, right? Like if something changes later on and you're just auto rebuilding something for some other reason, using the same exact ones is probably a good idea. So if you do run into any weird issues where you're installing something and it just doesn't work, try the -- locked if you haven't already. It might just work. All right, I'm going to clip that out when I create the video, and I don't know if I'll create a short from it or not, but at the very least, I can send that to the person who was having the issue installing Cargo Watch. Kubliam, hello, how are you doing today? Remember the ECS series was very helpful for you understanding RC stuff. Made Asteroids before with Bevy using events. Oh, nice. Oh, and you did that on YouTube too. Okay, hold on. It's the wrong computer. I need to go over to this browser. To see the links. All right, let's see what we got. Oh, and I haven't, you have sound. I can actually install? I can plug in that. So we can hear on stream. You switched to Unity because it's easier to make 2D games. Interesting. How are you liking Unity? My understanding of Unity for 2D at the very least is that they're not truly 2D games. Unity has 3D and then they have like a 2D camera essentially, where like it's still 3D engine and everything else, but they just show everything in 2D. That's my understanding of it. But I haven't really done much with Unity, so I can't really. Like, they're the only little tidbits like that is what I know of. Anyways, this looks, okay, so, oh, you made a nice little top-down shooter. Oh, that's pretty cool. They are not yet, but they have different rendering pipelines. I made a game 2 months ago. It's on the channel as well. It's much more complicated than this simple game. Well, hey, well, I guess that makes sense, right? Because like Unity allows there's less stuff you need to do to get something up and running. Like even with something like Bevy, there's still a lot more you need to do on your own. But yeah, that's really cool. Good job with that. Let me save this off. Yeah, Unity Editor saves you hundreds of hours. I believe that. I believe that. There's a reason why that editor plus other ones are really, really popular. That's again the wrong screen. If I want to share that video with YouTube, I need to go open up the chat over here. There we go. There is that that video. Go take a look at it, and if you want to see the Unity stuff, Kubel has it there too. All right. Something I want to check out someday is Godot, because I've heard some really good things about it. It's been updating a lot. Plus, I'm not super happy with Unity's pricing that they've done. It's the pricing for game studios is already bad enough, but their pricing for non-game studios using Unity is like 1,000 times worse. Okay, so talking about Bevy and game development, let's jump back into this. So, oh yeah, and we can use Rust with Godot. Yeah, so Godot, by default, they use a Python-like language. It's not Python, but it's not. Basically they like forked Python and like updated it to them, right? GD script. It's like a Python-like language, I think, like very similar to it. But there are plugins that you can use because Godot is open source. It's a little bit easier, I believe, for other parties to like create these plugins. And one of them is a Rust language plugin that allows you to write all the scripts in Rust. And I believe Mr. Halsey was using that a lot. So we got to see a lot of Rust dev inside of Godot from there, which was really cool. Yeah, so that is definitely on my list to check out. In fact, we had a when we chose to do this, one of the random things to choose from was including like a Godot game with Rust. So this could have been Rust. This could have been Godot. Okay, so I ran this right before stream, and we have a problem. Everything looks fine, but when I attempt to move the ship, I don't move, except if I now fire. Notice how the beginning of that, the little bolts, which now that I think about it, those are really small. I don't know if you can actually see those. The beginning of the bullets were moving around. So my ship is moving, but the animation of it is not. So it's not actually updating it's not updating the translation of the ship to the appropriate spot. So somehow in the last stream, I broke this, which is, I mean, not great, not usually what you're hoping for. So we need to figure that out. And let's see, that is, my guess is it's in the systems. And we have update positions here. Oh, so I'm getting update positions. So I remember now. We had a system. This add player? No, okay. I don't think it was the add player system. We had a system for, maybe it was apply thrust. Change thruster colors. That was it. We had this system here previously, and I was also grabbing the position of the ship, and so we sort of like updated this to try to be just two different things. One is just changing the thruster colors, which we do see that is still working. And then the update positions, which that's not working anymore, except it's working for the bullets. So I'm looking, okay, so I'm querying for anything that has a transform. Oh. I mean, that would definitely cause the ship to not update its position anymore. I was like, it's almost as if for some reason it's not finding the ship. I don't know why that query that we explicitly say without ship isn't finding the ship. That feels weird. Okay, so now we can move the ship around. Everything's good again. Shandu, hello. How are you doing today? Oh, and I just see that ad starts in 40 seconds or so. I'm going to go ahead and preemptively put this up on screen. Are you going to, does that work? There we go. Preemptively put that up on screen just in case. You're doing good? Excellent. That's good to hear. I'm doing pretty good. I mean, we fixed the first bug that we caused last session really quickly, so that's always a good sign, right? Yeah, no, I think they're starting in 10 seconds. But like I never really know because sometimes they might start ahead of time, sometimes not. Because I'm the streamer and I'm subscribed to the channel, I don't actually get the ads, which is unfortunate. And I'm not sure how much I trust when Twitch says, oh, ads are running, ads are about to run. Like, are they running them sooner than they should? Are they running them later than they should? Longer than they should? I don't know. Okay. So, let's see. Now, the next thing was the bullet type stuff. Right now, I can fire infinite bullets and make pretty little patterns like this, which is great. Like, that's kind of fun to watch and really cool. But in the actual, like, this would make it a little bit too easy to play because you could just, well, put bullets across the entire world and everything, you know, is just bullets, right? So let's I have a couple different ideas. One of my first ideas was to use a pool, like a bullet pool, to store like 3 bullets in, let's say, and then I can only fire 3 bullets. So that's something that I would like to do. Another thing would be I can only fire a bullet every X seconds, like maybe every half a second or every 1 second or something like that. I guess another thing is I might want to look into only when I press the spacebar down can it fire 1, so I have to actually release the spacebar and then go again. That's also another, I mean, if I do that, you can still spam firing, but I do like the sort of like the difficulty ramp up of you only have 3 bullets in the world at a time. So currently we have this fire bullet. And so in fire bullet, okay, I'm getting commands. I'm getting a fire query. I'm getting ship query, materials, meshes. I could. Oh, is ads done? I think ads are done. Or at least Twitch tells me ads are done. I could also get all the bullets itself. Let's see. This is okay. So I'm going to query firing. Oh, but that firing. So I could input firing. I could also update you. Okay, so question that we have to answer here. Whose job is it to determine whether or not we actually can fire? Input firing is taking it with the input and determining like, hey, am I pressing the button to fire, which in this case is the space bar. Is that, should this be in charge of saying like, yeah, I am firing or not based upon if I've attempted to fire before? Or should I just like, keep this as trues and falses? So it's like, hey, the button is down to fire, but then the actual like create the bullet is in charge of saying, yeah, you want to fire, but that doesn't mean you can fire. I don't know. Like I can see arguments for both cases. I feel so like my initial gut feeling is that my fire bullet should be in charge of this. So I should add a new query here. So this will just be bullet query. And I'm looking for basically just the count of bullets, right? Anything that has this bullet in here. And when I'm creating a bullet, we're adding this marker component to it, right? Yeah, this marker component bullet. So I can query for this. Let's grab you here. So if you do bullet query, oh no, it's, wait, this is a for in. Oh, can I actually just get the count of it? So bullet query. I can get an iter and then count. Okay, that gives me a U size. So then I want to do an early return, sort of like similar to what I'm doing here. I want to do an early return here to say like, hey, if we have 3 bullets already, 3 or more bullets, let's go ahead and not fire. And we'll just set firing to false and then go from there. So it won't even just go on to the next tick. It'll just, that'll be it. So if bullets is greater than or equal to 3, then I want to say firing.0 is equal to false and return. Now, when I update you, I believe you're updating in the location in memory. I don't need to do anything else to it. I think that actually updates it. And so that moves it down there. Okay, so now I should only be able to fire 3 at a time. Of course, I can fire all 3 at a time like 1 frame after the other, which is really, really fast. Like it's almost as if they're 1 bullet because they're too close together. They're too close together. So that's great. So I also need a timer. And I believe that when I create the bullet, we can have a timer that counts down so that like firing timer. And I want to say that I don't have a timer elsewhere in here. Creates a new timer with a given duration in seconds. Okay, so I could do new. Yeah, so let's do this. So duration from, let's do milliseconds so I can basically play around with this a little bit more. So we'll do 500 milliseconds and then a timer mode. And I want this to be repeating. I think that's how that works. And so we'll add in to this bullet here the firing timer. Now this is a timer itself, which means that this is the only timer that we can have. Oh, okay, so timer is not satisfied. Timer is not something I can throw into a bundle, right? Yeah, it's not the trailing comma, so I'm not allowed to put a timer in. Interesting. Okay, so that's the wrong type. Let's take a look at the cheat sheet. Timer allows you to detect when a certain interval of time has elapsed. Timers have a set duration. They can be repeating or non-repeating. Both kinds can be manually reset. Start counting the time interval from the beginning and paused when they are not in okay, yeah. Repeating timers will automatically reset themselves after they reach their set duration. Oh, so maybe I don't want repeating? Used finish to detect when a timer has reached its set duration. Use just finished if you need to. Okay, yeah. Oh, so the fuse time is the type here. And if we take a look, oh, where's? Oh, I don't see fuse time. But fuse time is okay, so it's a struct with a single item in it. I keep on thinking of saying arm. I skipped at the top. Oh, there it is. Yeah, okay. I mean, me and reading on stream is a thing. Or rather is not a thing. I don't do reading on stream very well apparently. I don't do it very well off stream either. I like I read, but like for some reason I keep on skipping skipping lots of things. I think I'm just less patient these days than I used to be. So thank you for that, Isitsu. All right, so I can basically create a firing timer, which is going to be this timer. And then I can component this. So I have to wrap this in a component, which we can do that. So we can head over to our components. Let's do a pub struct firing timer. Throw that in there, except we know that you need to just have the timer. Except, you know what? You only have this one thing in here. This might as well be a tuple struct where we have a public timer. Hey. Yeah, import timer like that. Okay. Then we have, okay, so firing timer. Now I create a timer like this, so I want a firing timer like you. Okay, so now we have this firing timer, and then I believe you should be happier when I add this in. So firing timer because you are a component now. Yeah, okay, so yeah, it's wrapped in a custom component, which makes sense since you can only have one of each type, which I I remember we did that exact same thing in the ECS that we created. Was we basically suggested always wrap it in your custom types, because otherwise you could only have like a single F32 or timer in this case, or something else. All right, I don't know if the firing repeating is a good idea or not, but we're gonna find out. So you're gonna come in here, which means that I can now, when firing, okay, so I want the bullet query, so I want the bullet plus the firing timer. Ooh, except wait a second. I don't want this to be in here. This is on each individual bullet, and I don't want a timer on each individual bullet. I want the timer on, well, the equivalent of the gun, right? Which would be the ship? Yeah, I think it would be the ship, right? See here. It'll be fairly easy for me to recreate that. Now I'm already getting the ship, aren't I? Mr. Ray Ray, hello. How are you doing today? Nice to see me working on this again. Can't wait to see the progress. Yeah, I mean, so far there hasn't been too much progress, but we can shoot around well, bullets wrap around the screen and we can move around, which is nice. Ship query. Yeah, so I think we need to set the firing timer on the ship, because the ship is in charge of firing it. If I ever do like opponent, like AI opponent or something like that, they would also have the same limitation. Otherwise, they would just be able to fire forever. And that would be kind of silly. Even though at the moment I don't have a plan for that, but it's possible that we can do a ship with like there's that UFO in the original Asteroids game. We may do something like that. Okay, so that means when I create the ship, so add player, I need the firing timer. And your start as nothing. You start as nothing. So basically, I want the timer to start when I start firing. So it's almost like I could do something where you're not allowed to fire until the timer finishes, because we start it with a certain value. It won't be a bug if I am aware of it and I choose to do it as a game design choice, right? Like that's not a bug. Okay, so if I do a firing timer is a firing timer, and then we have a timer, new, we'll have a duration from milliseconds. Let's do 500 this time, because I'm not able to fire to begin with until we get there, and then we're going to do timer mode repeating, and then we'll add this into here. So firing timer. Okay, so with that, and now in fire bullet, when I get the ship query, I also want to get the firing timer, except I probably need you to be mutable, don't I? So I can reset the timer if we're indeed firing. Is it mute like that? I think it is, right? So mute, firing, or is it, no, it's just mute. So mute, firing, timer. Okay. So now we have our firing timer. So if you're finished, so if the firing timer is finished, completed. What was it? It was use dot finish to detect when the timer. Okay, so firing timer. You're not helping me. That's not a good sign. Oh, yeah, right, because there's that there. Okay, so if firing timer 0 finished, you had to look on Bevy and how the query was retrieved. You had to look at Bevy and how the query was retrieving stored state. I just didn't grok. We haven't looked at that myself. So it is a pretty cool from the user side, from like our developer side of like getting of that query. I like it a lot. It's really nice. I can imagine they're doing a lot of stuff behind the scenes to get that to work. So maybe we'll take a look at that at the end of all this. Sort of like after we use Bevy, just like take a look a little bit at how they're actually doing the query. Okay, so if the firing timer 0 is finished, then what do I want to do? I want to restart the timer, and we're going to continue on because we're firing, right? But that may not be true, right? Because that happens over here. So I should really only do this at this point in time. Like if we get past, okay, so we have enough bullets. We are pressing the fire button. So if we get to this point in time and the timer is finished, now we want to then continue on. So we want to restart the timer, right? So firing timer 0 restart. Resets the timer. The reset doesn't affect the pause state of the timer. Okay, so we reset the timer and then we continue on. Otherwise, the timer is not finished, so we just return and we exit early. You're just trying to understand the signature of functions like that for when you wanted to write your own. Okay, so the signature was a little bit more complex and nice. Cannot borrow firing timer 0 is mutable as it is behind a reference. Firing timer is okay. Why? Let's see. What have I done? I have a mutable reference to a firing timer there. You're a... Wait a second. Are you just a... No, I can't do... Okay, yeah. So I need that there. But this shows me it's a... Because I'm looking at this right here. Reference to firing timer. Oh, wait. Do I need this to be a mutable reference to the ship query? Then I mute that. Firing timer is still just a reference to firing timer, which is not what I wanted. Cannot borrow firing timer 0 as mutable as it's behind a reference. Okay. What did we... let's see. So firing query. Oh, I just got that as a single mute. Now I do only have a single... Oh, wait. Ship query single. I didn't see that. We want that to be a single mute too. So I don't need this. I don't need this here. Ship query Cannot mutate immutable variable ship query. So you need to be, you need to be mute. Like that. Okay. Now it's happier. So now the timer should reset and this should work as expected. You know what? Before I even test this, I'm going to make the bullets larger so you can see them a little bit better. So I want bullet mesh with scale. So I did 2. That's a little bit too small. Let's do something like 15. Let's try that. Is a timer not a complex solution? Can you just set a future date time at which a bullet can be fired? I probably could do that also. Looking at the timer here, it looks like they're both stopwatches. And I don't know, like the timer feels like, yeah, maybe it's complex, but also the implementation of it, I'm not sure if it's more or less complex than also setting a future date and time. Because I don't have to check it, right? I could just do finished on it. And then the other side is I could do the stopwatch and just check to see elapsed. So either of these, I think I can get to the same place with either of these. At least that's what it feels like. Okay, well, spacebar doesn't fire at all anymore. So I have successfully removed the ability to fire a bullet at all. So either the timer never, so it's probably getting past all of these, and then finished is never being called. That's my guess. Finished is never being called. And I wonder if I can do something like a debug. Firing timer. Elapsed. Returns the time elapsed on the timer. Guaranteed to be between 0 and duration. Oh, I wonder. Oh, this will be interesting. I wonder if it's because I'm doing a repeating timer. So as soon as it hits 0, it resets itself, which means it's never finished. That's a guess. My guess is that we're going to see time sort of jumping up and down in the debug here. That's my guess. Huh. Timer elapsed 0 nanoseconds? That should be finished, right? Then each time you fire a bullet, you set the next bullet time to be X seconds into the future. Yeah, I mean, yes, that's something we can do. Which apparently is the same thing because the timer counts up as well behind the scenes. So I could just use a stopwatch, which would be what you're talking about. And then I can just check the stopwatch to see how many seconds it is. But I guess like if you think of a countdown, that's kind of a future date and time, right? I'm saying, hey, I want to be able to fire in the future. So also I'm wondering if, well, okay, it's not firing the first time. So that's a problem. Let me try, okay, where's ship? Did I miss something from the tutorial? I mean, probably. Oh, tick the time. Wait, I have to tick the timer myself? Oh, I always thought that the timer was ticking on its own. Okay. Wait. So this is a different tick. This is a different timer. This is off of config, which they don't show here. Timer's got to be ticked to work. Oh, okay. So I've got a tick with a time delta. This is a timer to fire the bullet. This is a timer to be able to fire the bullet. And we're probably going to use another timer for deleting the bullet. So it's going to be both. We're going to have two timers. Okay, so if I copy you, so it's timer tick, and then we pass in time delta. So this wouldn't be in there. This would be in input firing. I actually don't want, okay, so input firing is probably not the right one to do, right? Or maybe it is. Do I want like an update timers? Yeah, but I think I do. Okay, so we will put this on fire bullet here. And the first thing that we should do is get the query. Okay, so we get the ship here. And then I should tick the timer immediately before we do any early exits out, because this is running every single, I was going to say tick, every single frame. So we will do firing timer and then tick. Okay. What are you upset about? Oh, this takes one argument, so we actually have to pass in the delta time. So what was it? It was like time res time, I think. Time delta time. Oh, ad break. Okay, time delta. So there we go. Now if we run this again, probably without that debug statement. Nope, I didn't need a resource again. Yeah, okay, so now I have all three of my bullets in here, and I can't fire anymore, even if the timer is expired, which is exactly what we wanted to see. So, okay, I think it's working. So next up, would be the timer for the lifetime of the bullet. And so I want a new component. And this is going to be bullet timer. Okay, so if we get past all of this, we're creating a bullet timer, creating a bullet mesh. Oh, ad break ended. Yes, the problem you're modeling is a maximum number of bullets, bullets having a finite lifetime, and a cooldown between firing shots. Yeah, basically that. So let's do bullet, bullet, yeah, bullet timer. So it's not the firing timer, it's the bullet timer, right? So the bullet timer is now going to be a bullet timer, timer new. We're going to have a duration from, oh, I probably want this to be from milliseconds, right? So from millis. Let's do, I'm just going to do 1 second for right now, but we're going to play around with that. Interesting that the state of the craft is dependent upon the number of live bullets, tying the states together when each entity would be separate. Yeah, there's I think in the original system and with a lot of game dev type stuff, a pool is used more frequently, where I would just I would have a pool of bullets, and then I would query for bullets that were dead, and if the bullet was dead, I'm allowed to use it. Otherwise, I don't use it at all. And that's an alternate way of doing this. And then I need I don't need to count the number of bullets I have because I just have however many are in the state at any one time. After that, it's choosing, it's still limiting how often I can fire, but that, and it's still determining how long it can live. So it's basically one less thing, or it's mutating the way that one of them works. I think that's how that works. Okay, so we have a timer mode. Now this should be a once, so timer mode once. So we have our bullet timer. Okay, bullet timer. Okay, we go with that. That's good. And we're going to want a new system to delete the bullet from the world. So let's see. This is, how do I create, is it just systems or just normal functions, right? Yeah, just normal functions. Here. So I think they have to be public because I have to add them in somewhere. Okay, so this is going to be delete. I probably want a different system for handling the collision of bullets with asteroids or anything else. This is really just going to be delete bullets, delete expired bullets or something like that. So we're going to have the query for this, which is going to be a mutable reference to a query. And inside of here, we're going to have the bullet timer. And that's it, right? And then we have the body of our function. So I'm going to, for bullet timer in our query. I'm not getting any help, which is a, oh, I mean, I guess it helps to use the function keyword, whatever. What are you upset about? The trait bullet timer query data is not satisfied. What did I do wrong? Let's see. I have query mute. Oh, I did the wrong. Did I do the wrong? Let's see. Firing query, so mute, firing query. I did do the wrong style. So it's mute like that. I don't think I have a mute there. You have a mute here though, right? Okay, so now I can do that. All right, so we have our bullet timer, and I want to check to see if the bullet timer is expired. Okay, so do you need to mutate the timer? I need to tick the timer, don't I? I need to tick the timer. So first off, I need to bullet timer tick, which means I need time. So get the delta. Okay, so we tick the timer to begin with. You need to be mute here. WRT ECS, what are the components you've set up? The components that I have are these. So we have position, velocity, rotate speed, rotation, thrust, firing, main camera, bullet, ship, firing timer, and we're just adding bullet timer in right now. So that's what I've got. Okay, so if you're finished, so if this specific bullet timer is finished, I want to delete because I'm interested in the deletion stuff. So if I want to delete, we're going to need the ID of the query, which is it commands that I need to get for this specific one? How am I going to get the ID? So it's not delete, remove. Oh, despawn, maybe? Despawn. That's not your reading on how ECS works. It feels you've got yeah, I might be using OO a little bit here for something like that. I mean, I'm basically just setting a lot of separate components and separating them out, right? So an OO view would be you're putting more than one thing on a component, right? More than one thing into a specific component. And so the components are shared across different things. But yeah, I could do a timer. I need to make sure I get the right timer. So like it needs to be a separate type of timer. Otherwise I might get the wrong entities timers because I'm just storing little bits of data separately and they're going into the equivalent of like a vector or something like that. It doesn't really matter what that is behind the scenes. My reading was that you'd have components such as moving, collision, player controlled, temporary. You might have those as well, right? And a ship would be moving, collision, player controlled, but a ship would be, yeah, so like I could definitely do something like that. But I could also have I would also need a position, right? Because you could have something that's not moving but still have a position. Yeah, so I could definitely do something like that. And we might add that in there. But we don't really have in this specific thing, I don't think we have anything that doesn't move. So therefore, why would I have moving if everything moves? Oh, and moving would contain position and velocity. I don't like the idea of like containing those separately because what if I want to query for just the position on its own without the velocity? And that's exactly what I'm doing when I'm updating the position, when I'm updating the display position for the entities is I don't need anything more than just the position at that point in time because I've already updated the position through velocity in a different system. Yeah, I guess like I don't see the difference between doing something like a moving component that has position and velocity inside of it together when I can just have them separately and then query, like when I query for them, that is moving, right? Position is also needed in collision and display routines, right? But I can just query for those separately, right? in those systems. Like, I guess to me, I've always felt that having them all separated out makes it a little bit easier for me to only get what I really want out of it. I have some marker components for wanting to get specific things so I don't like accidentally get the camera or something like that. Because that has happened before. There's a good Rust conference closing speech that talks about ECS and Rust. Nice. Yeah, I don't think I've read that. We did ECS a lot before when I was playing around with specs in GGEZ. I think separate is better. I would treat moving as a marker, otherwise that naming doesn't follow the rest of Bevy components. Yeah, I can see moving as being a marker. Moving would be a great marker component. Absolutely, yeah. She explained it in terms of things that are drawn, things that move, things that collide, and how you build separate systems for each one. I can also see building systems around moving, but I guess it's personal preference that I don't want to have a component that has more than one piece of data in it. Like I feel like that's I feel like that's gonna reduce some of the benefit you get from ECS. But yeah, using a marker component for moving sounds like great. Like I think that's a great idea. If you want to get the entity ID, just call .id after spawn. Okay. Can I get the ID afterwards, or is it just sort of lost? And I need to add that in somewhere. Okay, function die. Entity can be used to get the ID of things that match the query. Oh, that's what it is. Okay, so entity. We also need commands so we can despawn entities if we have to. Okay, so then that's where we get the mute commands. Okay, so that's where this is. Entity gives me the actual entity, and then I can get the entity ID off of that. Okay, so I query, so bullet timer, entity, and commands are a different thing altogether. So we have our time, and we'll do mute commands like that. Okay, so if the bullet timer 0 is finished, we're going to commands. It's not despawn. It's not die. It's not kill. What are you? I didn't actually look like the next line down. Not remove resource, but remove might be it, right? Okay, fine. Let's look at the documentation. Despawn. Okay, so commands. Oh, that's what it is. So I have to do commands.entity. Get the entity here. So. Oh, and you need. Okay, so because I'm getting multiple things now. Oh, it's just literally those two things. We do that. Get you. And we are going to get the entity ID, right? Right? Okay, and then hand in the entity ID. And then we have despawn right there. Okay, so we mark it for despawning, and I believe it will be removed from the world at the end of this tick. Cannot find type entity. Oh, we have to bring you in. Okay, so delete expired bullets. If I now go to our main library Where's my component systems? Yeah, so do add systems. This is delete expired bullets. Okay, so we add you in there. Where did that go? Oh, because I have the star in here. I forgot that I did a star on use systems to make it a little bit less long of a file. Okay, so we write everything, and now bullets should die after 1 second or so. Oh yeah, that died. Except I can't. Okay, so I can fire all the bullets like that. I mean, that feels actually. If I cap my speed, I will never be able to fire into myself. Oh, yeah, I need to cap my speed, and I need to set the bullets to be firing much either faster, or I need to take into account the ship speed. The other thing that I can do is distance covered, but I'd have to write something to track how long they've come. I could like, I don't know, keep an entity or keep a component for like their spawn time or something. I don't know. There's a lot of different ways we could take care of that. Okay, so query is returning a list of all entities that implement all those components. Yes, that's how it works. Yeah. So yeah, and that's the reason why you want them to be separated, right? Because I don't want all of the components. I want just the components that I'm updating and working with right there. And so if I get too much, I'm going to overload the cache, specifically the CPU cache, and therefore have way more cache misses, which in an app like this, not really that big of a deal, right? It doesn't really matter. We're not going to have like that big of things that like big cache misses are going to be that big of a deal. But if we're talking about a bigger game, that could be a big deal. And it becomes like the more stuff you have going on at the same time, the bigger issue a cache miss becomes. Okay, so we have I need to play around with you. I need to make you a much faster firing. And so if we come into our systems, when we fire the bullet, I set the... Okay, so I transform that. Bullet velocity, I have... Velocity just equals direction. Oh, and so I basically get the rotation, so the direction that the ship is pointing. I normalize that, so it's a number between 0 and 1. And then I increase that by 500, which is just an arbitrary number I made up. So if I do something like 1,000 that I've increased it by, that'll double the speed of the bullet. But I could theoretically also increase like okay, say take direction, okay. It's almost like what I want to do is take the bullet mesh here. This gives me a vec3, right? So if I surround you, and then I want to add the ship velocity, which I don't think I did because I didn't pull in the component for it, right? So as part of the ship query, we can just get the velocity as well. So velocity here, ship position. So firing timer. Ship velocity. Whoa. What did I do? Put that in there. Where's our direction? Okay, so add ship velocity to that, and then normalize it, and then oh wait no, but do I want to normalize it at that point in time? I probably don't. I probably want to do that, and then let's make you mute, and then just do a direction plus equals to the ship velocity. That's 0. To increase the speed by the velocity. So now it's going to go a little bit faster. If you fire the bullet backward, if the speeds match, then the bullet would be stationary. Yeah, that would be true, right? I am adding in a decent amount of this and then adding, so it'd have to be moving pretty fast for that to take effect. But let's take a look at what this does. So you could write a system that moves every entity that is both a position and a velocity, regardless of whether it's a ship, bullet, or asteroid. And that's actually what I'm doing right now. I have one system that takes care of moving the ship around and moving the bullets around, which is really nice. It's the same exact logic, no matter what type of thing it is. I don't really care. Bevy is pretty smart about running in parallel, and the fewer components you take, the better. Yeah. So bullets are not great. Okay, so this is, I think I can shoot myself if I go fast enough. Actually, not. I can't shoot myself. That's pretty good. Now, I think because I'm in a angle like this and not a square, I should probably make this a square. Although I'm not going to allow myself to shoot myself. Like, I'm not going to do collision detection for, well, that may or may not be true, right? If I add the UFO in, the UFO has bullets. And that could cause problems. Here, I'm shooting backwards now, and you can see the bullets are significantly slower than when I was moving really fast. Now, realistically, you would never be able to shoot, you'd never be able to get up that highest speed because you'll probably be killed by an asteroid. Like, we don't have the asteroids in yet, so it might be a non-issue. Maybe. We'll see. We also started out by accidentally moving the camera with the ship. Yes, we did do that. That's where we learned that the transform is, like, the camera has a transform. So when I just searched for transform, yeah, it was not great. But it's a thing. Now, I could have put the transform into a struct, and then that would have been easier to grab. But I instead used something called a marker component, which is just an empty component. I'm just like, hey, give me anything that has a position, and give me anything that also has, like, the following marker. So we just use that. Or, marker without this other marker. So maybe I can put a marker in for the camera, and I want everything that's not the camera. So those are all things that we can do. Okay, so we can fire now. What's not great is that sometimes when I press the button, it doesn't fire. And I think I have a guess that it's due to the repeating nature of the timer. So in fire bullet, no, it'd be in the add player. That's add camera, whatever. It's close, right? No, it's not close. Add player. I'm creating our firing timer, and this is repeating. Let's switch this to once. Because then when you reset, I think it starts over again. And maybe this will feel a little bit nicer. Yeah, every time that I press the button now. Wait, no. Okay, every time that I press the button between the timer things, it works. If I try to press it too often, it doesn't fire like faster than 1 second. 1 second or something like that. So it's much nicer now. Probably the best thing to do would be put some kind of like cooldown indicator on screen. But I'm also okay with us switching to something like 250 milliseconds. And then I can fire almost as fast as I want to, with just like some maybe not. Okay, so we have bullets. I'm okay with their distance right now. We can tweak them. Plenty of numbers for us to play around with. Okay, so with that being said and done, I do have a bunch of magic numbers. It would be nice probably to put those into consts, put those at the top of the file, or maybe have a config struct that I just have the one place that I can just sort of like tweak all the numbers of the game and make that. But I don't know. I'm not that worried about it too. King Cabrams, hello. How are you doing today? You like the code inlay hits you have in Helix? Do you share your Helix config somewhere? Yes, I do. I have that in, is it Bang Helix? Yeah, that's it. Bang Helix will give the a link to the Helix config that I'm running. I think I updated my language and I haven't updated that repo yet. So but the config part is where you get the inlay hints. Okay. So that's done. We have bullets. We have a player. We can move around. We can shoot. The bullets don't live forever, and we can only have 3 of them at a time. So that's good, right? And we have the bullets dying. So that's also nice.